Hi everybody again from Mont Blanc Yoga, back now in not so sunny England, and as we're all looking towards another lockdown, I thought I'd do another video to follow on from our hamstrings and our neck strain video and do a little bit of work on our shoulders today, particularly the upper shoulders, which tie into the neck strain issue that we're all having, and particularly those that are desk bound, this will be a benefit too. But in lockdown, we're all feeling a little bit tense, so hopefully you can all get something out of this video too. So give it a go. Okay, so I'm sitting in easy pose, which we did a challenge on a few weeks ago, and I'm sitting up in a block because it gives me a little bit more height and allows my thighs to drop out and be more comfortable that way for me. You can sit cross-legged, you can sit on your bottom with your legs out in front of you, you can sit on your chair if you're at a desk. The whole point of these is to try and integrate them into your day. So wherever you are, what we want is a nice strong stable bottom half from your waist down. So we want your sit bones nice and grounded, and then we're going to think posture before we begin. So we're going to draw up through our abdomen, draw your navel to spine, support your lower back that way. Then think of the space here between your ribs and your pelvis, and try and lift out of your pelvis by sinking into your sit bones. Use a rebound there. And then we're coming up to our heart and we're moving it up and forward, which draws your shoulder blades back together at the back, and you slide them down your back, that sensation. And then we're going to tuck the little hyoid bone that we used in our neck strain challenge and workshop. And then think of that string coming out through your crown and raising you up another couple of centimeters. Try and keep your shoulders down away from your ears. Okay, so that's the position ready to start. Here's our first little exercise to help with shoulders and back tension. So before we even start, let's just warm up by having a slow roll through the shoulders. As you do that, take your attention to your back and to the two shoulder blades, and think of them moving in little circles up and down your back. So we're moving them up and down and round, and then the other direction, you're kind of moving them in the circle, leaning slightly forward this time, and just warm up through all those muscles where the tension probably is, and loosen off slightly before we move. Okay, so you can warm up there a little bit more if you still feel a bit tight. So first of all, we're going to take our hands to heart mudra, to our prayer hands here, and we're going to move our heart forward again in towards our thumbs. And then we're just going to simply imagine a line that draws from your fingertips right up past your nose and up through your forehead and upwards past your crown. So we're just going to follow that line with our fingertips, pressing into the mudra hands, pressing into the prayer hands, and feeling a real connection there between your palms, raising the arms up above your head. And then we're going to move our elbows, our shoulders, our biceps backwards so they come out of your peripheral vision. Then reach through the fingers and draw your elbows and your biceps towards your ears. Draw your tummy in, draw your heart forward, keep that posture. Another little movement backwards with your elbows if possible. Use your shoulder blades, think of those scapula moving together to draw your elbows and your biceps back. And then breathe. Breathe in, reach through your fingers, down through your sit bones, and then exhale and just soften just a little bit in your core. Let your shoulder blades slide down your back. Breathe in, tall through the fingers again, reaching up as high as you can, and then slowly think of the scapula and your exhale sinking down your back. And then release your hands carefully back down to prayer mudra at our heart. So that's the first one, quite easy but quite powerful. Be aware, you may think you're not doing very much here, but you will feel it afterwards. So you can do that one as often as you like, and as I say, wherever you like. but it's best done seated, so we've got some grounding there in the bottom half. Okay, move on to our next one. So next one, first of all, think posture. Wherever you're sitting, always think posture. Try and lengthen before we do any of these moves. And then we're going to bring the hands back into prayer mudra again. And this time we're going to put in a little twist, but we want to think about twisting from the point where your heart and thumbs are meeting, not your nose, because it'll want to go ahead. So we're trying to keep us long and the whole of the vertebrae stacked. And then we breathe in nice and tall, lengthen through, and then we're moving to the right. It won't be a huge move. Allow your right shoulder to move. Think of twisting from the lower part of your thoracic spine. So just above your waist, we're moving round and twisting through the spine up to the top. And watch that nose hasn't gone ahead. Draw your chin back in. It should be over your scapula. And then if you'd like to go a little bit further, we're going to just look over our right shoulder. Now be very careful here, your vertebrae in your neck are not meant to be thrown around. So be gentle, moving your head over to the right, and then move your eyes as far round as you can, as long as you have no issues with your eyes here, and certainly no issues with your neck. If you have, stop, draw back. And then we're going to just slowly rotate everything back to the front. Same thing on your left side. I'll let you do that. Make sure you do both sides, so because we need balance here. So you go for it on your left hand side. Okay, so you should have done your left hand side twist now, and again you can do those twists as often as you like. What I would suggest is it is still a very strong, powerful movement through your back muscles, particularly through your spine. Take it really slowly, and also when you think you've gone as far as you want to, I would draw back about 10% at least, because you're probably pushing yourself further than your spine, etc. really want to go. So don't overdo it, is one of the key things here. Okay, so I'm still in cross leg, but what I'm going to do is just uncross and recross, because it gets a bit of a strain if you sit on the one side all the time. Right, so now we're going to do some lengthening and side bending. So there are two ways we're going to do this. The first one's a modified version. The second version's a little bit harder and a little bit stronger. I would suggest you do the first one and then go on to the second one. So I'm still up in my brick. You might want to lower yourself to the floor. Okay, so draw yourself in, find that posture, engage your tummy muscles, lift your heart, and then we're going to pop our right hand to the floor, arm up on fingertips, and then we're going to lift our left arm up, raising the fingers up to the ceiling. Try and contain that shoulder a little bit rather than stretching completely at this point. So contain the shoulder but move your arm backwards. So think of moving the bicep and the elbow back as we did a minute ago, and then draw the bicep in towards the ear. And then we're going to bend this arm as we fold over this time. This is a modified version of it. So we're going to breathe in nice and tall, find that space before we move into the side bend. And then we're going to fold over your right armpit. You're feeling contracting towards your right hip. You're bending and softening in the right elbow. And then we want to reach those left fingers over towards the top corner on our right hand side of the wall. Draw your left hip now back down and make sure it's sinking and grounding. And then watch that top shoulder, your left shoulder, and roll it back. So we open up a little bit more here across the chest. And then we just breathe here. So we breathe in and extend through the fingers. Feel that lovely stretch right through the left hand side, down through your ribs, down to your hip. And then in the exhale you would soften. So you can do that again as many times as you want. To come up, we're going to use the right hand to push into and use the rebound up that arm to lift us back up to center, and then release the left arm. Now you would do that on the right hand side in the modified version before we now move on to the more extended version. So this one, same thing, right hand to the side. left arm comes up. I'm going to take it the other way actually because I feel a little bit unbalanced at the moment. So I'm going to do left hand and right hand up. Same thing, find your length as you breathe in, find that space between ribs and pelvis, lift out of the pelvis but sink the sit bones down, and then you're going to walk the fingers away this time as your my left armpit is coming down more towards the floor now rather than towards the hip. So it's extending over as if you're going over a high fence here. We're lifting up with our right rib cage. When you go out, and you stop when you still feel stable, please, and then roll that top shoulder again back and open up through the upper chest on the right side. We're stretching the fingers away, reaching for the wall on our left hand side here, sinking our tailbone, sit bones back down to the floor. We're inhaling and extending, and you'll feel a little bit more of a stretch down through your right side this time, and then release on the exhale. Extend, keep the tummy engaged, watch you're not rolling forward, and exhale, sink and soften. Again, as many times as you want. To come up, walk that hand back in on the floor and use it to support yourself as you come back up to the top and lower the arm. Now again, do that on the other side. Make sure we always do that for balance. Okay, now we'll move on to the next one. Okay, so we've done quite a lot of sitting there, which can have an effect on your lower back if you sit too long. So this one that we're going to do now is one you've done before, but it's a really fantastic one to use to stretch out the back body. And particularly here we want to open up the top of the shoulders. So we're going to do a soft child's pose. So rather than extended, where we stretch the arms out, or even just a normal child's pose with your forearms on the floor, we're going to roll our shoulders back and turn our arms out and put them down by our sides. So I'm saying this before I go down because it's quite hard to talk when I'm down there. So basically we keep our sit bones rather, our hips back on our heels, and then we're moving forward. Now here you may want to use a brick or a cushion just to pop your forehead on, to try and keep that connection backwards, because your body wants to move forward, so sometimes your hips come up, and if we want to try and keep the hips low here if we can. So feel free to use a block or something under your head, under your forehead here. And then we're just going to roll the shoulders round and bring them back so that your hands are facing in towards your legs. And then roll onto the back of your hands so that the back of your hand is now on the floor, opening up the palms to the ceiling. And then just feel the top of your shoulders spreading out across your body. Allow gravity to take them down towards the floor. I'm going to move this brick because it's in my way. So otherwise you can take your head right down to the floor if it's comfortable. And then really feel gravity on your back, spreading you out, opening up your lower back, which was quite tense possibly, and then opening up the upper back here, right across the top of your thoracic spine into your neck. That space between your shoulder blades has now started to spread out, and there's no tension there needed. Nothing needs to be held. We're just allowing the floor to support us. To come out of child's pose, pop your hands under your shoulders and just use them to support you to come back up and roll back up through your spine. You can stay in child's pose as long as you like. It's a great pose for calming us down, for anxiety. It's really introverted, so when you want to get away from things, that's a really nice pose to use, and just be contained in that space yourself. Okay, so then the other one we're going to do is the opposite, and we're going to open up the front half here, the top of our shoulder area. So I am going to use a yoga bolster. If you haven't got a yoga bolster, if you take a nice big fat pillow and roll it up and then wrap it in a blanket, then that will do the same thing. You can use yoga bricks, but they are a little bit uncomfortable, and we're trying to make this quite a restorative feeling here. So another day we'll use the bricks and show you how to use them. But here, what we want to do is come onto our bottom. The legs don't really matter here, but I'm just got them at hip distance apart here. And then the bolster, or whatever you're using here, has to go across, if you're a lady, across where your bra strap is. So across just behind your heart and just a little bit lower down there. And then we're going to walk ourselves back and pop that area onto whatever you're putting under you. So the idea here is that you have your shoulders above whatever you're lying on. This is a moderation. Forgot my words here. It's a way of doing fish. So too much information coming through my brain. Okay, so just relax back. Now here you can take a cushion or a brick and pop it under your head. If it's too much for you to drop your head to the floor, which is quite a big distance, pop a brick or a couple of cushions under the back of your skull, under that little round bit at the back of your skull, so that you feel nice and balanced and have a long back of neck here. And then we just lie here and we roll our shoulders out. If your thing underneath you is too high, then just push it down a little bit further. Open up your palms towards the ceiling. Allow your hands and your forearms just to soften into the floor and be supported. You'll feel a little bit of tension possibly to start in this position, because we're really opening up the thoracic area here, which is quite a stiff area of us. So you should feel a nice gentle spreading across the upper chest, and then through the rib area here and the back of the ribs you may feel a little bit of tension to start. So just breathe in for 4 through your nose and exhale through your nose for 4. Nice slow breathing, nice deep breathing, nice smooth breathing. 4 in, 4 out through your nose, and use that to tell your body this is where you're meant to be. There's no reason to tense up, you're not going to fall. You've decided to lie in this position, and the more you breathe, the more you'll tune in to your parasympathetic nervous system, and your body will take that message and tell the muscles all to relax and loosen off, and you'll gain even more benefit then from this position. So to come out of this, we want to engage through our shoulders and neck as we lift off the brick behind us. Pop your elbows maybe onto whatever you're lying on, just to give yourself a little bit of support as you roll up through to the top of your thoracic spine, and then pop your hands on the floor and support yourself back up to seated. Again, you can have a little bit of a roll through there, or you might want to push whatever you were lying on away and just have a lie down for a second. Allow your spine to stretch out and lengthen, and feel all that benefit you've just given your back muscles. Okay, so a few more exercises to add to your daily routine. Namaste.